Theme song in three, two, one. And welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 238. Actually, quite frankly, 237 has been recorded and it has not been released yet. It's a little behind the scenes that I have a backlog of things I need to throw out into the ether, but here we are, episode 238 of this, The Simpsons, the Constitutionals Podcast. Well, speaking of The Simpsons, I just saw Bob's Burgers movie. I saw it on Sunday. It's a fantastic film. Wish there was a more diverse cast. But it's very funny, and I will be in this week's episode of News Time, if I'm smart, is going to come out and will be about... or the episode that's supposed to be out at this time. I'm 2 episodes behind, so is going to be about how or the TV shows that have been made into movies, and quite frankly, I think in terms of polish, I think the Bob's Burgers movie is a cut above the rest. And that is saying something because I just rewatched the Simpsons movie. I think I watched that movie like once a year at this point, but I just rewatched that movie before I saw this the Bob's Burgers movie. And the Simpsons movie, very funny, very good. But it's short. It's short, and at some points it goes a little too fast to feel complete. In particular, my favorite part is when and the movie was made in 2008, or 2007, so if you haven't seen it, then you can go see it before I ruin it for you. There's a part where the town of Springfield is about to be destroyed, blown up, and Marge and the kids decide to go back to Springfield to help the people. Homer decides not to. He says no, and he comes back from going... I don't know, it's going to ruin the joke. He comes back from leaving. he goes to a place, and it's really familiar, and he comes back, and Marge and the kids are gone, but on the bed is a tape that says it's their wedding night, Homer and Marge's wedding night, and she recorded over their wedding to tell him that she can't do this anymore, and if she has to die in Springfield with the people that she loves, then she'll do that. Then leave her husband, and she'll do that. Anyway, very sad. It's very slow, and I enjoyed that part. And if it creates emotion, it starts emotion in your body. And then for the Bob's Burgers movie, look at all this. More diversity in the Simpsons movie cast. More diversity in South Park. The Bob's Burgers movie, it's 102 minutes rather. It's longer. I think including credits, is probably about 10 minutes longer than Nova just walked between my legs because she was hungry. It's about 10 minutes longer than the Simpsons movie, but it feels a lot more fleshed out. And part of that might be because they've been holding on this movie for 2 years now. And I did read in the New York Times, they had a magazine profile of Lauren Bouchard, the creator of the Simpsons movie. And he did indicate that they spent some time polishing the movie. And I'm sure, animation takes a long time. I'm sure they already had when it was ready to go, they already had 98% of the movie that it is today, but there's an extra 2% where they could tighten up some songs or tighten up some animation or just write better jokes. And you know what, I'm about halfway through again a movie I've seen just like the Simpsons movie 100,000 times, which is the South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. And that movie, that was 1999, I believe, right? Let me see. South Park Bigger. I don't know why she walks around and pretends she's like the hungriest thing in the world. Yeah, 1999, June 23rd. I was 6 years old, about to turn when it came out. No, June 30th. June 23rd when it came out in the Chinese theater. June 30th in America, United States, worldwide, or United States is America. It is worldwide. United States and Canada, June 30th. So I just turned 6. Did I do the math right? Yeah, I just turned 6. I think. Yeah, whatever. Who cares? And again, that movie, just like the Simpsons movie, is very fast. But for Bob's Burgers, it's, you know what? Speaking of which, South Park. It's like there's like 2 generations of South. There's 2 generations of Family Guy. Like, so on FX they play obviously marathons of King of the Hill, Family Guy, and Simpsons and Bob's Burgers. But I'll catch a lot of old. Hey, no, ma'am. I catch a lot of old Family Guy that way, and because they play a lot of new Family Guy for some reason. Anyway, I catch a lot of old Family Guy that way, and that show and South Park, it just used to be, jokes of the time, and not, they can be specific and funny and pointed, but they're not, trying to hurt anybody. And then I just finished the South Park Streaming Wars, the special on Paramount Plus, and Jesus, like, that is. I'm glad they want to try new. And they've been doing this style of storytelling for about 4 or 5 years at this point. I'm glad they want to, or maybe even longer than that. But I'm glad they want to do that. But God bless, it is not good. It's so boring, and then it's boring and it's unfunny, and then at that point it can just be frustrating and angry and. And when you get to a point in comedy where you're just doing things out of anger, it just doesn't make sense. Anyway, but the movie, man, it stands the test of time, except for this one part where Terrence and Phillip. If you know what the movie's about, it's an R-rated film, and it's the boys and the kids of the town hear all these curse words in the Terrence and Phillip movie. Terrence and Phillip are going to be hanged, and the boys go to try to save him. Meanwhile, Kenny is in hell because he died, and Satan and Saddam Hussein, 1999, are going to take over the world. Anyway, there's a point where Terrence and Phillip appear on Conan O'Brien's show, and Brooke Shields is the guest, and it just sits in 1999, and also George Clooney's in the movie as the doctor who tries to save Kenny's life, which is something that always stands out to me. It's crazy. They never have guest stars. Anyway, the South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut movie, the Simpsons movie, they're very good. They're good movies, and I was just watching it. I could still quote it, even though I haven't seen it in years. And I own it. I love it, but I just haven't seen it in years, and I can still quote it. I can still sing the songs by heart. It's crazy. Anyway, the Simpsons movie, good. But the Bob's Burgers movie is just leagues, like streets above what these other TV movie have done. I can't believe it. Anyway, they were able to translate that show. And one thing I do want to say about Bob's Burgers movie, South Park, and the Simpsons movie, is that reviewers often say in their reviews that this feels like a longer version of the show. And you know what? It does not. You're very wrong about that. That's a very wrong thing. Bob's Burgers in particular had, they all have beginning, middles, and ends, but Bob's Burgers in particular had a great A story, which is the restaurant. There's a sinkhole in front of the restaurant. And then a great B story, which quite frankly is they want to make it seem like everybody's got their own story, but it's really a movie about Louise. There's a lot of Louise in the movie, and it is her movie. Frankly, it's Louise the movie, and so I guess the B story would be her trying to prove that she's not a child because she wears those pink ears, and then Jane and Tina get their own stories that kind of interweave with Louise's. To some effect, and then the parents obviously are Linda Berger and Bob Berger are just anyway, and then the stuff with the fish odors, like I can't believe that they got all that time. Speaking of, and then even for the Simpsons movie, which I should bring up the Wikipedia. That one, there's a lot of stuff in that. Like, I can't believe they gave a lot of time to certain characters. Like, it's crazy how there's a lot of there are characters that in the TV show have whole episodes dedicated to them, but then there are characters in this movie that I think were maybe like Professor Frink only got like a couple of lines. Cletus gets his own things, and it's Mr. Burns and Smithers are barely in the movie when they probably should be prominently featured in the movie. It's crazy. Kent Brockman has a lot to do in the movie, and the Flanders are given. It's good. Anyway, that's what I like. Anyway, the movie, all the movies are good. I really enjoyed Bob's Burgers movie. I can't wait to see it again. And it feels like a movie. South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut, and the Simpsons movie, they don't feel like long episodes. South Park, in particular, does not look like a movie. It doesn't have the shading that, when Teen Titans go to the movies and the Simpsons movie and even Bob's Burgers the movie, when those have come out, they add the shading to their characters that makes it look like it's a big deal. But for South Park, they look exactly like South Park did in 1999. And then for the Simpsons movie and the Bob's Burgers movie, like those feel like actual movies. South Park feels like an instance, but it is a movie. It doesn't feel like episodes, but it does feel like an instance. And Bob's Burgers feels like the most complete version of all those. And then I had to Google the character from the Bob's Burgers movie. I had to make sure that a character that David Wayne plays was actually in the TV show. And he was. I guess. I don't know. I don't remember those episodes. Bob's Burgers has entered Family Guy and Simpsons and South Park and King of the Hill territory and Futurama territory, where it has been going on for so long that I can remember a lot of stuff. But if there's one character that's appeared maybe twice and he's not that memorable, I'm not going to remember it. And the music is not the Bob's Burgers movie is in fact a musical, but it is not I thought it was going to be music, like West Side Story, but it's not. It is. There's 3 songs in it. There's 3 songs, and then there's a 4th. Oh no, there's a 4th song that does explain who the antagonist of the movie is, who's in fact the murderer, because it is a murder mystery. Okay, so we've done that. Let's move on to what I wanted to do. Maybe I think about 4 or 5 weeks ago. This is the late night report card for spring 2022. Summer is coming up upon us, and we're going to have a lot of shows going off the air for weeks at a time. DESUS MERO, I'm looking at you. And we're going to talk about the what everybody's done in the world of late night for the past spring. That's usually how this works. Okay, so I'm an avid... What makes me the person to do this? I'm an avid watcher of late night. I love late night so much. And yeah, that's it. Late night's great. I was just thinking, I was driving to the store earlier today, and I saw there's an unhoused person, this is what they were supposed to say now, sticking his hand down his pants in front of my building. There's a side street and a front street to my building. The main street, and then there's a side street. I was driving down the side street, and he was in between the restaurant and my building. The restaurant is connected to my building. And he was laying on the sidewalk, and his hands were just in his pants. And I just went, oh boy. Anyway. She's if you're watching the video, I urge you, she's just sitting in the kitchen waiting to be fed. This is the scariest thing. It's like having a murderer just wait. All right, anyway. So let's talk about late night. Spend the next 15 minutes doing that. Let's start with the elephant in the room, as the people say. There's So Peloton got a new instructor. His name is Logan Aldridge, and he's missing his left arm. And I took his premiere class on Wednesday at like 7 p.m. Oh, also I saw Paul McCartney. We'll talk about that in a second. But he lost his left arm, and he was was it wakeboarder or windsurfer? One of those. It was something that involved a rope. Anyway, that's his story to tell. He tells it during that premiere class. Anyway, he starts the class in a way I hate so much that it's like such a cliche. It's the way I just did it. Is let's talk about the elephant in the room. My shorts are purple. My tank top's purple. It's just like, come on, man. No, he's a fun guy. He's a really nice guy, and I can't wait to take more of his classes. I think they just dropped a whole bunch of his things. I think about this all the time. They need to hire somebody who's just like ugly. They need to hire because like everybody on Peloton is beautiful and amazing, and there's like people of different body types, but they need to hire somebody who is just objectively just a friggin' uggo. Anyway, I saw Paul McCartney. I drove from Atlanta to Knoxville on Tuesday afternoon, laptop in hand, still working on the road. I saw Paul McCartney. I drove, and it was a 3.5 hour drive, and I drove there. And no air conditioning in my car, so windows down, listening to music the entire way, and podcast the entire way too. And it was great. That the trip doesn't matter. It was great. Paul is wonderful. I saw he did Beatles songs. Obviously, he did songs from Wings. He did stuff from his last two albums, which at this point are like Egyptian Station and the one that just came out, whatever, the last one. So they did that. Band on the Run. I screamed during because I was so excited to hear that song. He did Live or Let Die, and the light show was fantastic. Paul McCartney is a true class act, and even though I didn't know all the songs, I still had a great time. It was so fun, and so it was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. So if you're keeping tally, I've been to 3 concerts in 3 weeks. Oh, because I didn't release the last episode. I talked about Phoebe Bridgers. I went to Phoebe Bridgers as well. Anyway, great. Paul McCartney, fantastic. I can't believe it. It's so funny because a couple of weeks ago, maybe at this point a month, I was listening to Never Not Funny, and they were talking about how like Chance got tickets to see Paul McCartney at the last second. She's now sitting beside me. They got the two of the guys got a chance to see Paul McCartney with their wives, and they also gave tickets to their intern Garen, and they said it was like just a good experience, and just to see this might be his last. This could be his last tour. Who never knows, but they said it was just like it was so good to see him, and I thought at the time I said, yeah, man, that'd be cool to see him, but then you just throw those things off, and then I was offered a ticket in exchange for buying a hotel room, and I went, oh, okay, great. And I got the hotel room, and then we went, and we had a nice time, and then we went back to the hotel room, slept horribly, and then drove back 7 o'clock the next morning so I could be at work in office at 10 a.m. I got back just in time for a meeting. Like literally, I arrived at 10:29, and I ran upstairs. And I changed clothes because I was so sweaty and gross. I changed clothes to the clothes I wore the night before at the concert. And I put more deodorant on. I still stank. And then I just ran upstairs, did some work, and because we have to be back in the office now. And then I came back home in the afternoon, finished out my work day here. I was able to. I did not shower until I did that 7 o'clock workout. I ran and did the 7 o'clock workout. But Paul McCartney was great. Anyway, let's get to the show. It's 18 minutes in. We got to get to while we're here. All right. James Corden. We're going to talk about James Corden, and he's decided to leave the Late Late Show. We knew this was coming. He was already trying to leave, I think 2 or 3 years ago when they gave him a re-up, or he earned a re-up. Anyway, Corden's leaving the Late Late Show, and CBS has said, this comes from Peter White, this is the only story in the entire episode. The Late Late Show, CBS is looking to experiment in late night slot as James Corden prepares their exit. Now, this is only conjecture. We can only talk about this because we don't know what they're going to do. They're going to let him finish out his final year, let him do whatever. More recently, he's done 2 amazing things. One with Harry Styles, where They were in New York and they shot an entire video for As It Was or Daylight, one of those. Daylight, it was Daylight. And also that album's really great. But Daylight inside of an apartment in New York in 3 hours for $300. And then they also, for Tom Cruise's Top Gun Maverick, they also did I think, it's like 16 minutes on the show, but it's like, I just saw it on Paramount Plus. It's 26 minutes. I guess they shot a lot more stuff, but they shot a half-hour show basically just to promote Top Gun Maverick, and it's they're both really good pieces. And I think Corden, that's what late night is going to miss when he leaves. When he leaves, that's exactly what late night's going to be missing, is these really good long-form pieces with celebrities. I mean, that's why Carpool Karaoke does so well. They made it to a show, which they probably should not have. In fact, right now, as I am doing this podcast, they are doing a live stream of 24 hours of Carpool Karaoke, the series, which on YouTube, which is not my cup of tea, but whatever. Anyway, I really do think Corden is really, really good at those pieces when he can get people that he's friendly with or that are his friends to do these really good things, and. Because I think when you boil it all down, every host is really good at one thing. DESUS and Mero are, what, I'll talk about that in a second. But let me, that's what I'll bring up one thing for everybody. But let me get to, but Corden, this, for the past couple of months, it's been waning, this stuff, and actually in the past couple of years, if you look at his video counts, which is, I think, what network heads are looking at now. They're looking at, I talk about all the time, ratings for shows have been going down, and ratings for late night in particular have just been plummeting. And then, however, when the advent of the YouTube came along, and Jimmy Kimmel had I'm Effing Matt Damon with Sarah Silverman, that created a virality, I guess, for what this could be. And then eventually, that was like what, 2000? I don't know. I'm freaking Matt Damon. Let's see. Let me look at the video because I'm actually here. That was 13 years ago. Is the oldest video I see. 14 years ago is the oldest video I see. Okay, here we go. 13 years ago. 2009 is when that was, and so that is it's by maybe 2015 is when that stuff started really counting, because obviously they saw it there and they're like, all right, let's just try to do something cool for TV and then do it for the internet. But now it's internet first. They're going to make stuff for the internet but put it on TV. And that's why Seth Meyers' Is a Closer Look gets uploaded 12 hours before you can watch the episode. No, it's not 12 hours. It's like let's see, the episode airs at 11:45, 11:30. I don't know. All right, it's probably or 12:15 rather. So it's probably going to be 6 hours ahead or so. Anyway, so but Corden, Kimmel started it, Fallon carried it, but Corden took it to the next level. And it's really important that we get that across. But for the past few months, his show does not, just even looking at ratings on here, does not get a lot of stuff, unless it's somebody who is a big name. Then people want to see that, after Corden talking about a Texas school shooting. I'm sorry, I should not have brought that up, but that, and then stuff here and there. It takes a bigger name to pull, and that even isn't the thing that can help. You can have somebody as big as I don't know. Let me see, Jessica Biel, and it can only get 250,000 views. But he's lucky to get 250,000 views with that, and Rebel Wilson gets 500,000. But then you have these other ones that just don't stand out, even though there are names that are recognizable and big and people love them, like Colin Hanks. I love Colin Hanks. Anyway, I think Corden has done a decent job, and And again, I'm not grading these. I don't want to do that. That's stupid. That's bad. And maybe this will become its own show at some point. If someone pays me. I wrote a pitch to Headgum. I wrote a pitch to Headgum months ago about doing something like this, and they didn't take it. So I'm probably just gonna make it myself. Anyway, so but all in all, I think it's gotten lazy. But since the announcement, so before the announcement, I think what Corden and his team have done has just been for them, and it's been, and not in a way that, like, you know, Seth Meyers' stuff is for them. You know, I think it's just gotten, he's fallen into a trap of, Corden rather has fallen into a trap of, we're doing a late night show and this is what we're doing and we're going to play games and stuff like that. But when they can strike lightning and strike gold and do all that crap that is a cliche at this point, then they can and will. Anyway, Corden, good job. And you know, people make fun of him, and he is not for the writers, but however, I do think that he has added in a lot of good stuff to late night. So let's continue on with CBS and move on to Stephen Colbert. Now, Stephen, he has a built-in audience, and unlike Corden, his videos are just getting 250,000 is bad for him. Let's just say that. So 500,000 views. Actually, no, let's say 100,000 is bad for him because he does have a lot of 100,000 videos in this. Oh, it's a $49,000 K video. But he for Colbert and look, I like him a lot. It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch him because he really does play towards the. I understand you're hungry, Nova. He really does play towards the to the audience, and quite frankly, I don't know. I think it's boring, and I think it slows down the show. And I'm not saying this because I wrote a packet for him, and they didn't choose, but they didn't hire me. I'm not saying that one bit. What I do appreciate about Colbert is that because I just said something mean. So what I do appreciate, it's not mean, it's just something I don't like. But what I do appreciate about Colbert is that he, from the outset, has always been of the mind, we're going to have celebrities, and we're also going to have business people, and we're going to also have Congress people, and anyone just involved in those worlds of business and politics, which you should not mix. Hey. And so I do like that they have that, but then, you know, they have just a bunch of silliness that doesn't quite work. Like, if I'm looking at a video about, it's what I assume is a dub of The Man in the Yellow Hat and Curious George from the Curious George PBS show, a show that I maybe have watched when I was too old to watch. Definitely too old to watch that. But that's why I work in cartoons now, guys. And it's just stuff like that is just it just misses something. It just misses something. Like this, the cold opens he does, or they do rather, the cold opens they do there, the just doing voiceover on something that, like, just dubbing is not funny. It hasn't been funny in years. But then when he has people on, when he has senators, when he has like Secretary Mark Esper, when he has people like that on, when his monologues are, you know, do well because they do have great writers there who can do really good monologues, and Colbert can carry it and he can deliver it. And even though the monologues are 11 minutes long, 5 minutes of that is clapping and cheering, which is very true. Seriously, stop it. I hate that. I don't like it. I just think that's a waste of time. Now, there's a lot of clapping and cheering in every single one of these shows, with the exception of DESUS MERO because they're smart, and Samantha Bee because she's smart as well. But I'm sick of it. Anyway, and the behind the scenes stuff, the Late Show Me More, I like it all. Just give me more behind the scenes. It's great. It means you care, which is not something I could say about Corden. I will take over that spot, though. I swear on my life. You know, they gave Adam Pally and Ben Schwartz an hour to do Late Late Show when Corden was coming on and Letterman had already retired. But I think I would just give me an hour and I'll do my best and make it my audition tape. Anyway, Colbert's great. And his segments are, however, his segments are, besides the animated bit, the dubbing stuff, and everything of like that. His segments really just take place behind the desk. Like they're not really looking to go out and experiment like the rest, like everybody else is. I think the experiments really come from everybody else. Not even big stuff. Like he does not leave the studio. Corden leaves the studio. Kimmel will leave the studio. Everybody else will leave the studio. He's not, and because they found a place, and I guess it looks like he's more comfortable there. I don't know what would happen if he, went to Washington. And he can host live shows all he wants, and those can, be funny and do well. But I think if you branch out just a little bit, you're going to get a lot more in return. And I'm looking at a monologue from a month ago. It's got 1.7 million views. Inflation hits gas, food, and shelter prices. But it could be bigger if that monologue was delivered in Central Park. I don't know. I don't know what people do. Anyway, he does have extended interviews too, and the stuff behind the desk, like Meanwhile, and I think he just has Meanwhile. I don't really see anything else. Meanwhile might be his only other big thing besides the monologue. I think it is. Wow. So he doesn't have to rely on extra stuff. He probably should. Or the Colbert Report or something that's the show. The Colbert Questionnaire. That's what he has. That's one of the things. But that stuff that's not good compared to the monologue and Meanwhile, which are the two big things on here, and then the interviews. And then that's it. That's all they do, essentially. So branch out, Colbert. You can be funny and just test things out. And not have to end up. I assume they're the leader in this segment for ratings online and on linear. So just try it out. You're not gonna do it once, and see and just get a feel, because as I keep scrolling, I'm months in and I still don't see things that I see, like 3 sets of things: Meanwhile, monologue, interviews, and then like dubs. Overdubs or whatever. Anyway. Okay, Colbert's good. Let's continue on with Paramount. Paramount's got a lot of we'll stay in the land of broadcast first. Paramount's got Colbert, Kimmel. No, excuse me. Colbert, Corden, DESUS MERO, and The Daily Show. That's crazy. Anyway, hey, stop. God. Anyway, she acts like she's the hungriest thing, and she still has like 20 minutes at most. at least. Okay. Kimmel. So it's good, I guess, that I did this today, because last night Kimmel did an 8 o'clock or a pre-NBA show, and that reminded me that ABC does do that. And there's a lot of synergy with that stuff. So I in particular really enjoy the Jimmy Kimmel. Hey, stop. The pre NBA stuff, because essentially they're making 2 episodes of his show a day, and now I've got her wrapped up with my feet because she's under the desk. So they're essentially just doing 2 episodes a day as long as like the finals are going on, and the 30-minute show is just the same as the hour-long show, with the exception that the 30-minute show is but hey, stop it. Basketball or Oscar themed, and they usually have like a game and a themed guess. She's eating the dry pasta. Okay. Like Corden, there's not a lot of returns on the videos online, the interviews and everything. However, his monologues regularly get 1 million views, and they're very funny, and interspersed with them are usually tiny little bits that they also just cut out and put on as their regular um, YouTube. Like, they get their own video slots as well. However, they do have a lot of running things that go on. They have Light Witness News. They have This Week on Unnecessary Censorship. They've got it all goes. The broadcasters, they all have music or stand up, mostly music. So they do a great job. Everybody uploads the music that they show on their episodes, and they do a great job. However, Kimmel's good. Kimmel in particular is very, attractive, really good, because they involve a lot of what they do with the celebrities they interview. So they'll have, the mean tweets, but then they did something that took them maybe, I think, what looks to be a month's worth of recordings from previous interviews, and they just asked these people to do the real argument from the Nextdoor app, and it's a great piece. And then, he got COVID twice in the matter of 2 weeks, and he asked John Mulaney, Andy Samberg, and Mike Birbiglia to host, and I think when someone is able to guest host and they're able to hold their own and the show doesn't change a second, even when those hosts just do well and they're very funny, but the show is just perfectly fine, I think that means you have a really good writing team and good production staff, and nothing changes when someone comes in and guest hosts for Kimmel, and I really appreciate that. And Kimmel is just a funny guy. He just says some things that are just he's able to, he just gets it, man. No, he's just able to deliver jokes in ways that seem natural and in a way that no one else can deliver it, quite frankly. And they have a lot of good puns with his monologues on the YouTube title cards, whatever these things are called, the thumbnails. They have a lot of good puns that I think are very funny. And then let's see. So he's not afraid to bring in the audience as well, just like celebrities. He's not afraid to bring in the audience, like with Light Witness News. They're able to do a lot of good stuff, tricking the kids and eating their candy. And then they also have pre-tapes as well, like the number one most popular YouTube video ever with the Katy Perry and Jimmy Kimmel yum yum nom nom toot toot poop video. So things like that, very funny. And then the other thing I liked that he and Fallon were able to do, even though it took them a couple years, was switch places. I like it when you drop the corporate nature of things and you can bring an NBC over to ABC and ABC over to NBC. It's very fun. It was very unexpected, and I really enjoyed that. But one thing, since I guess I'm doing one thing I don't like about, one thing I do like and one thing I don't like. One thing I don't like is this corporate synergy that they have over at ABC, where he has to talk about The Bachelor, The Bachelorette in every monologue, and it as long as they're going on, and those shows only get, I think, a 4 or 5 week break, what it feels like, and it stinks. Oh my gosh, just hearing him to go from the GOP did some bad things. Oh, and then The Bachelor last night, this white guy he got rid of all the darkies, and so he would never say that, but that's just what it feels like, and it sucks, and I hate that. And I don't like the synergy. The synergy is bad. I think they should stop. And then he has to Blackish went off there, and they have to interview obviously every show on a broadcast network does that, but every late night show on a broadcast network does that. So I just don't like that, though. I just think that, more so for the Bachelor thing. Everything else is fine, but whatever. I just don't like him talking about The Bachelor, Bachelorette. I think that's a waste of time. And and if I ever, when I appear on that show, I will ask him, "Do you actually watch that crap?" And then I will tell him, "I think you should not." I'm gonna tell you, Jimmy. Speaking of Jimmy, let's move on to Jimmy Fallon. I did not pull up his YouTube channel. Okay, that's the show. I knew I missed something. I knew I missed a channel. So let me see if I can find it. There we go. The Lily Singh channel's still up. All right. Okay, so Fallon, he's the progenitor of this generation of late night hosts. Kimmel who was hosting before? Kimmel started in like what, 2002, 2003? I just think he's the one. Did I say progenitor? Fallon is the one who made it accessible for a younger crowd, whereas Corden made it for, like, his show is a good way for, Generation Z to get in. I think Fallon's was a good entry point for all the young people, and quite frankly, that's the reason why people watch. And even though his videos, like Corden's, don't get a lot of views, I do think that just even trying is good enough for me. And yeah, they play a lot of bad games over at the Tonight Show. However, he does have the best band. Quite frankly, hands down, the best band. I still can't believe they're still doing it. And the beautiful Jen Psaki, of course. He interviewed. I do like Fallon and his kind of puppy dog achievability. Accessibility is what I'm going to say. But there's a lot of for as much as I like them taking swings, there's a lot of misses. There's a lot of swings and misses and things that just don't work. And I don't. And no one's good. I mean, no sane human, and I can for sure say this about Fallon and his team. They're not going out and saying this is going to be a hit. People online are going to love this. I think that they are putting out these games and going, well, let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. Let's see if this works. And if it does, then they'll bring it back. There's, this show's still able to pull a lot of big stars. Millie Bobby Brown, Post Malone, Howie Mandel put fake tattoos on his face like Post Malone. That's very funny because he was on the same episode. But that's very funny. I'm looking at the YouTube channel right now. They have a lot of breakouts in YouTube Shorts, which I can only assume are what the same videos they're putting on TikTok, which makes sense. And Instagram, I guess. I don't follow them on Instagram. I don't follow any late night shows on Instagram. I don't see any point because I watch them. I watch late night shows the way that sports players watch tape. I'm just like sitting there with like a notepad. I go, all right, that's good. Yeah, okay. Oh, that's a good one. Yes, okay. Oh, the way he told that joke, I don't know. He should have saved that one for last. Oh, but he's going to follow up with this. Okay. I have a book about writing for late night that I pick at here and there sometimes. I love late night. It's really good. Anyway, they're still able to get a lot of good guests, and it's a very light show, light and easy breezy. It's like the HGTV version of late night shows, where John Oliver will talk about something heavy and hard. You can expect Jimmy Kimmel not to, Jimmy Fallon not to. Too many Jameses. Add a Chad in there. Add a black Chad. Me. Anyway, good show. Now we're talking about Late Night with Seth Meyers. Hands down, my favorite late night show. I like. When Conan went off the air, I was lamenting like, oh, I gotta find somebody else to watch number one, to be my number one. The pandemic, this is so bad. The good that came out of it for late night is that it pushed these hosts to different avenues to try different things. Everybody had to do something new. Some people faltered and some people grew. And in particular, I do believe that, I think Kimmel really improved. He was already good in the first place. I think that, he got a little bit more relaxed because he was doing it from home. And then he kind of brought that attitude to the show, even though beforehand he was already at, zero relaxed. He's already at zero on stress. And now he's at, -10. It's because of the tears that he cries every time something happens in this world. Always crying, that Kimmel. That's another thing. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. But for Seth, there's just like Kimmel, there's an attitude of, we're going to try this. Well, no, just like Fallon, there's an attitude of, we're going to try this. If this doesn't work, then too bad. And then, just like Kimmel, if something stinks, there's just honesty. So he has the Fallon attitude of, we're going to try this. If it doesn't work, then too bad. And then he has the Kimmel attitude of, this didn't work. That sucked. And let me react on it in the moment. And you know what? And he's better for it. His interviews do not get any type of looks. The only things that get the most amount of views are the closer looks, obviously. And then they have the other desk bits, such as Seth and the dog. Oh, back in my day, that's what it's called. What else? Oh God, what's the one with Amber Ruffin and Jenny Hagel? I've been calling it something else in my head, and it is not PC what I've been saying, because it's a joke. But it's not that. Anyway, the things that get the most watches are the closer looks, and then jokes Seth can't tell. That's what it's called. Jokes Seth can't tell, also very funny. The stuff that John Lutz brings, very funny. The stuff that their writers bring, the emergency inspection of the writers' jokes. It's consistently funny, that show, and it's mostly because Seth and his crew. This is, I think, the only show since Letterman and since Conan that allows the crew to be part of the show. Oh, also for Kimmel, I want to mention that he did get Lou Wilson as his new announcer. It's great. I think Lou Wilson's a very funny guy. He's a very funny comedian. I had no idea he was writing for the show, and I'm glad he's a writer/announcer for the show. So that's wonderful. Late Night with Seth Meyers, he's able, this is why Amber Ruffin has her own show. This is why Jenny Hagel is the head writer of that show too, and they keep these jobs here at Late Night with Seth Meyers, and I mean, it's just the funniest people write for this show, and there's a good mix of young and middle aged, and I like what they're able to do with the desk stuff is just so. Oh, at this point, the broadcast is very funny. Seth talking about his book. Not doing well on the New York Times bestseller list. It's just so good. His monologue is it's classic. It feels like Johnny Carson, but then everything else feels modern. It's so good. Oh, Amber Ruffin recapping and reacting to things. It's just I mean, I can't believe how good this show is. And then also Corrections, he's really trying for an Emmy push for Corrections, which is an online only thing where he allows fans to write in corrections to the show, and it's like where Conan's was fans writing corrections that are like, wrong, and then Conan's writers try to prove them wrong. This is Corrections where it's just him behind a desk and Wally and everybody else, and like the writers and and just camera guys and just crew just sitting there laughing because it's so stupid, because he just craps on people. So good. I love Late Night with Seth Meyers. That's all that needs to be said. Let's move on to Amber Ruffin's show. Okay, here is a very big twist with the newest season of the Amber Ruffin show. It is a weekly late night show on Peacock. It was on the free version of Peacock. They've moved it to paid, and which I don't pay for Peacock. Believe it or not, I pay for a majority of the streaming service. I don't pay for Peacock right now. I'll pay for it when Girls 5 Eva ends the season. The problem is they still put the stuff on YouTube. However, it is so difficult to sit down and watch, 20 to 30 minutes of something on YouTube, and then. And you know what? Actually, I even forgot the show was back for a little bit, which sucks because it's a very funny show. And so now I watch videos, sporadically. If it's late night, I just kind of, because I watch everything else as a whole, I just kind of want to watch the show as a whole. They should not have moved it to Peacock Prime, Peacock proper. They should have just kept it on free. That's what, like, the paid version, it just stinks. I don't want to have to pay to watch this late night show. And if you think that, that's going to get you more subscribers, it's not, because this show was not pulling in big numbers in the first place. However, that being said, Amber's very funny. So that's one thing I don't like. One thing I do like, Amber's so funny and she's so personable. And she, out of everybody who hosts late night, I want to be best friends with her because she's so relatable and her outfits are fire. Hair is great. And again, she's hilarious. It is just, it's so funny. And although she is reading a cue card, you can very much tell that. And then like Seth Meyers is like Late Night with Seth Meyers, a show that she works on, her and Jenny and Wally the cue card guy. The interaction between her and the people that she works with, just fantastic. Just fantastic. I love it so much. That's the Amber Ruffin show. Again, I haven't seen a lot of it in the past couple of weeks and months because it's moved to Peacock Prime and it's just so hard. Peacock Prime, I guess I'm saying that. Man, it's just so hard to, sit down and watch a bunch of the same, let me watch this YouTube stuff in a row. It's just easy. It's easier when, if I'm watching a bunch of SNL sketches, not skits, sketches, then I can jump around from, one from 2009, one from 2018. This is just like, this was an episode and now it's chopped up and now it just feels incomplete. Okay, let's move on to Full Frontal with Samantha B. I'm going to rearrange these in the order I need to talk about them in. Hey, we're almost done with this episode. Sam B is a cut above the rest. I don't want to say that, but she's really, really good at what she does. She brings that Daily Show energy and makes it her own and really teaches. She teaches you something by the end of her segments. There's 3 7-minute segments usually, or 2 7-minute segments and 1 music segment. But it's a very learned show, and I don't feel like she's talking down to me like a certain other host that she used to work with on Daily Show is John Oliver, and I don't feel like that she's pandering me like like John Oliver or Stephen Colbert. But what she does, there's like a lot of focus on women, which is good, and a lot of focus on her correspondence, which is also good. I think that Sam B has one of the more Kimmel can deliver jokes in a way that no one else can. That they seem so natural and they seem like they hurt. Like he'll deliver something, he'll say something about Ted Cruz, and I think. If Ted Cruz heard this, he should and he has any emotion in his body, he should be hurt by this joke. Sam B can do that and also get to a point and tell you something at the end of it, and that's just really great about her. My one concern is what will Discovery do with this show since they canceled every other TBS show. There's a lot of she's already on Thursday night and. I think there's a lot of utility they could have for her, and she's very funny, and I think that we need to put her in the forefront. They already don't have an audience on that show, which is great because of the pandemic, and they've been able to do so much better with her without an audience. Even though the audience wasn't even in the way in the first place, it's one of the few late night shows. Even on DESUS MERO, the audience when they had an audience was bad. It was just straight up bad. But the audience that was here, they didn't ruin the show. Sam B is truly a gem, and I think she may have made herself second place behind Seth Meyers. Still losing to a man. Okay, Sam B. Let's go on to The Daily Show. I mentioned it already. Trevor Noah, I think bringing the audience back really, really helped with his comedic timing. He's a funny comedian. I think the show is great, and the correspondence he has: Ronnie Chang, Michael Costa, Jordan Klepper. I'll name a woman: Dulce Sloan, Roy Wood Jr., and Desi Leidig. Everybody is so good and so funny. There's Jon Stewart. I guess I should add his show in here, but I don't really watch that. But Jon Stewart's version of Daily Show, yes, it changed the way late night was, and he was able to talk to the future Redditors of the world. But Trevor's is diverse, and The stuff that they do is a little bit more immediate, especially since it's for the internet, whereas the original Daily Show was not. That version, the iteration with Jon Stewart, was not. And I really do appreciate what they do. Trevor really needs an audience. Bringing them back to the studio was just the best move they could possibly do, because I hated watching him do cutaways, and he still does cutaways, which is frustrating. I don't like the cutaways. Trevor, stop doing the cutaways. They're not funny. Just do what you got to do. Don't do the cutaways. All the animated stuff they bring up, and he's got to turn to a different cat. Don't do that. That's not fun. It's just God. It comes off as bad. Anyway, Jordan Klepper, they're allowing him, while I don't want to say failed, while his show did not work out because we couldn't have a Colbert-esque show in a Colbert Report show-esque version of that show in this time, because people are stupid and will believe that. The stuff that, him traveling around essentially and doing stuff about gun rights or the GOP is just, or the My Pillow guy, it's just so good. Ronnie Chang, he has a lot of silly stuff. He's just being silly. He's a silly guy. I do think Ronnie Chang is probably one of my favorite correspondents. They're uploading the podcast beyond the scenes onto the YouTube, which is good. I think more outreach if you can do stuff that's online exclusive, you're really gonna retain an audience. That's really good. Trevor's 14, 15-minute monologues are fantastic. His interviews are, I will say this, he's one of the best interviewers. I think Seth is a really good interviewer because he obviously has the card, and but he doesn't look down at the questions, and he just he leans back in his chair and makes eye contact and talks to the people. And that's what I can also say about Trevor. Trevor can do the same thing. He can really connect with the person. Whereas for Colbert, I think he's just going through the motions and asking questions. When it's something that's not pertinent. When he's talking to a movie star about a movie, he's just asking questions. But when he's talking to a senator about voting and stuff, then he can do smart things like that. Trevor's just a naturally funny guy. He doesn't even have to try, and he just comes off as just so charismatic and so charming and funny. And I really appreciate it. When you get I just got a very third-person view of myself going, why am I doing this? And then also between the scenes, I love that stuff. I love the stuff where Trevor's talking to the audience. He has the best rapport with his audience. Hands down. Best rapport, and it's just fantastic. So keep up with that good work. Stop with the cutaways. They're not funny. DESUS and Mero, my boys, DESUS and Mero, this past spring has not been good for that show. They were cut down to one episode a week by the brass over at Paramount. I think they should continue doing 2 episodes a week, but obviously Paramount's they're trying to make it work. There are some what they're really good at is DESUS and Mero are fantastic at. I scrolled. They must have been on a long break because I scrolled maybe 3. I scrolled maybe 3 or 4 times, and I'm already back at 6 months, which is insane. There's 2 things I don't like about them. I love the show. I love them. I just don't like that they go on such long breaks. And 2, their interviews aren't cohesive. They're not very good. But I do think their rundowns, their whatever you want to call it, the top of the show, that's so funny because they're just talking about things that happen around the world or around the internet. But the problem is they can't do that for an entire show because that's how they were burned out on the Vice show. And you can also say that they were being pushed their limits over there because they're doing 4 or 5 episodes a week. But then, so here's what I think should happen. If you cut them down to 1 episode a week, they need to go to 45-minute episodes because it's insane that these episodes are 25 to 28 minutes long, and and we get extended interviews online. But those I did like a claw motion instead of bunny ears, but or quotes. Extended interviews are, if on the episode they're 10 minutes long, the extended interviews are 2 minutes long, which is insane. They need to do and now they've introduced something called happy hour, which is not my favorite. Everybody's got their own different styles and tastes. But then they also have pre-tapes, which they're doing more. Sometimes they're sketches, which I think fall flat, and then other times they're things where they're messing with people in public, which is good. I think that's great. There was a couple of weeks ago, I think they did something. They didn't do anything. It was they had like 2 of their writers go out onto the streets and like ask, "Are you cheating? Are you a cheater?" or something like that. And hey, it's a funny premise, but it didn't work because it wasn't DESUS Mero commenting. She wants to eat. She wants to eat cardboard now because she's so hungry. It's just about time to feed her. So we'll get right through this. But they need to. I know it's a lot of. They have writers, and it's a lot of work coming up with stuff off the top of your head. Talking about stuff that happens on the internet, and but they should really focus less on the pre-written stuff and just have writers pitch things as opposed to the pre-written stuff. The sketches they just don't work for me in any form or fashion. But I think hands down they're the 2 most natural funny guys on in late night. Just they're so funny. And finally, last week tonight, we're not talking about Jon Stewart. I was gonna say John Oliver. This show has not changed. If Colbert's show does the same thing every single day in and day out, this show does the same thing every single week. And if not every single week, it's the stuff they do for. Okay, the reason why Last Week Tonight it always wins an Emmy is because. They found a thing and they do it well. Just like the Goldbergs is, I think if you've been watching it since it started, it's always been a very funny show. And obviously they found, here's the A story, here's the B story, here's what happens in Act 1. Into Act 2, character A walks away from character B because they're mad or they're sad or disappointed or something. And then at the middle of Act 3, they make up and then everything's fine. Last Week Tonight, they do an opening monologue, and then, oh God, I think that's these. All right, they do an opening monologue, and then they do, and now this, which they make fun of, I guess, local news anchors or whatever, and then they do the 20 to 25 minute story, which works. And it's easy for them, and it's predictable. However, also they shoot that show on Saturday. He's mentioned that a couple of times, and I think that's so strange. I mean, I guess that's how you get the most accurate story, because something can happen last minute. Anyway, all right. So that all that stuff works, and they do some online only web exclusive stuff. I do like that. I think they need to branch out, and he tells, they tell the same style of joke over there where it's da 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 da, and that's still a joke. Like you thought this was a map of Oregon. This is an actual map of Oregon. You're stupid. And actually, no, this is like that type of joke is the samey thing that kind of feels the same. However, just like Sam B, you learn a lot. However, you're also getting talked down to a lot here. And there's a lot of disingenuous joke telling where, he makes the joke. I'm an old British guy. I'm an old British white guy. I don't know things. But then he'll say like, he's a total daddy, or she can get it. Things like, or no, he would never say that, I guess. But like, he can get it. I would totally lick his yum yum. Things like that. And it just doesn't play very well. To me, at least. To the audience, they friggin' love it. To me, it just comes off as it doesn't work. It doesn't work for him and for his type of person, for his type of comedian. Like, I wouldn't come out, on a show talking about wakeboarding. So you shouldn't be delivering, you shouldn't be delivering Gen Z words and phrases. Anyway, I mean, there's not much to say about John Oliver. He's like truly, they found something that works, and it explains why they are leading in that segment. So yeah, that's John Oliver. Okay, we got through it all. I didn't grade anybody. I don't talk smack about anybody because I don't need to, because that's not the reason why this show exists or this segment exists. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website cpluscomedy.com, where these interviews, the emails have been sent, and they're coming, baby. They're coming. If you want to see a video version of the show, head to youtube.com/cpluscomedy, where you can see me sitting in a shirt that I think I wore like 3 weeks ago on a podcast. And you can see Nova acting a fool in the back, knocking things down, eating on stuff. Also on youtube.com/cpluscomedy, you can see the show that we usually do. News time, premiere show. It's great. There's episodes coming, I promise. And Twitter, Instagram at cpluscomedy, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram for me at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Rate, review, subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform you get. Tell your friends, please, so I can stop doing this and actually earn some money. Okay. All right. We're going to end this show the only way I know. The iPad has been on the entire time. I did not notice that. Usually it goes to sleep. And usually I turn off the sound input, but I did not this time. Okay, bye.